What we're going to talk about in this lesson is administering users in the NightFax system. So we're just going to log in, and first of all, it's important to know that as you will see here shortly, not everybody will have access to administer users. This is one of the administrative levels that the system controls. So we log in, and I logged in as Ken Lentz. Ken Lentz has administrative access, and he has administrative access to add and delete users. And so what he is able to now, from the administrative screen, click on the users menu option. And what comes up is the users dialog box. He can select any of the users that are in the system. Ken Lentz, we have 3 in here right now: Ken Lentz, Lenny, and Mike Sage. We'll select Mike, and you can edit any of the information for that particular user. Now, there's a couple of things that we want to highlight on this screen. The first is you have your basic information about the users. Mike is his first name, Sage last name. I'm going to skip role right now and come back to that. And then the next 2 pieces here, username and password, are basically his logon name. The username he enters at the login screen, and then the password at the login screen. So you can always go back in and change it here if you want to. You'll see in another video that the user themselves has the ability to change their password at any time as well. The next 3 fields are actually just informational fields. We have email address, phone number, fax number. These fields do not need to be filled out. They're only there for informational purposes. And then down here we have active or inactive. And so if we have somebody who has access to the system and they leave the company, we can set them to inactive. We're going to make Mike Sage active though right now. See, we have Ken Lentz is active, Lenny Sage is active, and now Mike is also active. Now let's go back up to the role. Now I'm going to drop this down, and you're going to see we have 4 different roles that we can assign a user to. Admin with no user admin, and I'll explain each of these in a minute. But admin, no user admin, means they can get to this screen and they can administer the sales team configuration for the dealerships. They can administer the car types, what types of cars appear in the new and used sections of the data entry screen. Car type also helps them to identify how those cars will appear in the Reynolds and Reynolds system, so that when they come over on the import, we can actually know which slot to put them in on the data entry screen. But they do not have, and they'll be able to do reports, but they do not have the ability to add or delete users. This is something that you could give maybe one of your senior desk managers or one of the people in HR if they're going to maintain the salesman information. But you don't want them getting in and being able to see other people's user IDs. That, which is the admin no user admin, is the same as system administrator, except the system administrator does in fact have the ability to edit and view user logins and that sort of thing. And we're logged in as a system administrator. That's why we're even able to get to this screen. The other 2 types are data entry only. This may be something that you give to one of your sales managers or desk managers or leads even, who might be closing the day and they need the ability to go into the data entry screen, fill out the NightFax information, and save it. There's one other role that's available, and that's data and reports, which is basically the same as the data entry. They can go in and they can enter the information into the NightFax system for that particular day, the sales information, but they also have the ability to run reports. So this may be a slightly more senior person. The last thing that we want to look at on the data entry screen is the assigned dealerships. By clicking on any one of these dealerships and selecting it or not selecting it through the checkbox, it lets the system know what dealerships Mike Sage has access to on the data entry screen. What can he actually enter information for? If we look at right now, Mike has access to all of them, but say Lenny only deals with the Nissan stores. We could give Lenny just information, access to enter sales information for just the Nissan store. So you have any number of ways that you could configure this. The more standard way would be for creating user IDs for the desk managers at each of the stores and giving them access only to their store. Any information that you change, you click the OK button to go ahead and save it. One last thing on the user screen is this button up here, the plus button next to the select user, allows you to enter a new user. So if we click the plus button, we're able to have a blank slate. We can go in and put anybody in here that we want to and give them access to the system, select their roles, select their dealerships. Once all the information is in, we hit OK, and that person will then become a permanent member of the system. We're not going to do that right now, but that's basically how you use the user screen.